It's the Sick of This Show with Nick Paro and Walter Rhein. Well, we do Notes of the Week today. Welcome. It's our weekly show where we get to talk about some of the fun stuff that's gone on during the week, wrap it into terminology and values that folks in the audience care about and want to hear.
Yeah,
And put a progressive spin on things or just a spin on things that isn't the right wing narrative of hate and vile and disgust towards each other and humanity. And it's pointing towards the truth. So, good
yeah.
morning, everyone. As you come on in, I'm going to start pulling up the live here so I can see everything going on and all the great
I'm not
questions
finding
and
it here.
notes.
It's like
Um,
maybe this is not common. Normally, I can
it,
read the comments better in the thing, but I'm not seeing it.
and it just showed up on my end, so it may be a little lagged.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so, good morning, everyone. As you come on in, we are getting ready and getting ourselves prepped for the notes of the week, our favorite notes from this past week, where we put our opinion on things or reveal the truth in a way that is not um, like I said, not wrapped in fascist pro-hate lies and white supremacy, and we combat
Yeah,
that. Walter's one of the best at it. Good morning,
thank you.
Walter. How are you
Good
today?
morning. Good. I'm like you. I'm dragging. I wore myself out last week. I had a lot of these. It was wonderful. All these wonderful talks. I just wanted to say too, I appreciate last time we talked and you called me out and it was right to do that on a word choice that could be
Hmm.
better. And I just appreciate that. It's one of those things where I like having those conversations, thinking through it. Although I was like the very next day there was that wonderful video of that brave woman from with well, she was an American citizen with her accent was
Hmm.
strongly, I think it was from Jamaica,
Oh
and it
yeah,
was
yeah,
just
yeah.
she was using the word, and I just like, but I was like, it's like I love the way she used the word, but I think it's different the words that I as a white man should be using, and so
Yeah.
that was the thing, and so I appreciate that we've had that talks, but there are times too, and
Hmm.
you're just really good at that. You're really good at just being like, pause. Let's make sure we use the right words. And it's like we can move on from there. And it's just like as a writer, it's something I'm constantly thinking about. And so yeah, I do appreciate having those conversations.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that the audience is willing to say something when
Yeah.
they know that we or feel that we've said something that is offensive to those that we care about. And so I appreciate the comment that led us to have that conversation. Also, thanks for just being willing to self-reflect. Like the
Oh,
fact that you're willing to self-reflect says a lot about you as a person. And that's why I like you. That's, I
okay.
think, why I keep coming back to you is because you're willing to assess and hear and not so quickly come to the defense of your own ego. Um, that you were willing to take critique. And it's not a criticism like we like to words matter. I'm huge big on words matter. That's why Walter talks about and I talk about this a lot. That's also why I will really like the fact that you're a writer who can also um verbalize the thoughts and the feelings that you have, and you aren't just writing them down. You're able to express them clearly. Um and I think that takes a lot. I think you should be I think we should all be honest with ourselves. And I'm going to be honest with you as I'm proud of you as a friend for being willing to do that. Because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to take a criticism, especially on a live with people listening, or a critique. Sorry, not a criticism, a critique. Because a criticism is meant to hurt. A critique is meant to help teach.
Yeah.
Um, for those who don't know the difference, why I say the two differently. And I'm glad you were are able to do that because it means a lot to be able to hear back.
Somebody asked too. They were just like, "What do you say?" And I called male ICE agents the B word for female dogs. So that's what I called them. And it's one of those things where it came up in the video the next day. But yes, it's a word we have to be
Yeah,
we should
yeah,
use that. We should use that.
yeah,
I agree with that. And
yeah, and
and then
it's
it's interesting. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, no, no. Go ahead. Keep going.
I was going to say it's really interesting how, you know, I because a lot of these things I've talked about, and so it's there's a lot of opportunities to speak because I know these things are right, but like the treatment of the way these ICE agents are treating people is deplorable, and then if and undermining them, you can't retreat from them. You have to stand up to them.
Hmm.
Just be forceful and not violent, but we have to stand up for our rights. But I think it's interesting too when um, I get into that mode, and there's a lot of exploratory kind of thinking here, where I'm uncertain about things. So there's a difference between the really polished politicians. They just get up and repeat a message, and I've been interviewing them a lot recently. And it's
Yeah.
really difficult to get into that exploration phase where you're like, and you can see my brain switch off sometimes or switch into that. Is that right? And then I start going really fast and I start jumping around. I'm like trying out argument, trying out this argument, trying out that argument. So you're kind of seeing in real time my whole like personal editing process. And I really was reflecting on that and I was feeling bad about it until the next day. And then I felt a little better when I saw that video because it was exactly what and it was like, but she did it so much better than I should be doing.
She
And like
was
I said, that's the
so
word.
eloquent about it. And she
Video made
embodied
me
the
so happy.
rage that we all wanted to. Just so for people who may have missed part of the context, it was the Jamaican American woman who in I don't remember exactly
Oh,
where she was
down.
at, maybe New York, I want to say,
It was
somewhere.
New York. Yeah.
She put ICE agents in their place and called them out and used explicit language. She was rage filled, she was honest, she was open, she was exactly all the things that our politicians aren't, but everything that the people are feeling. And it was exactly what we all needed. We needed to see visceral rage and be like, yep, okay, I also feel that visceral rage and I am not going to stop feeling it. Um,
You know, and that kind of segues in because there was that awful video where the police arrested this ICE agent who was drunk. He was drunk and he was driving with his kids in the car. And just like, then he gets out of the car and he's just like, oh, my kids mean everything to me. And it's like, but they don't mean enough for you to not get behind the wheel intoxicated. And
yeah.
and we always, it's like when these guys they start in with it's almost like there's these toxic men who the moment they express caring for their children, all of a sudden we're supposed to like lay down. Oh, you're a great dad. You're not a good dad.
You're
If
not
you're
a good
drunk driving with
dad.
your kids in the car, you're a terrible dad.
Yeah, when did we stop? Why is it we coddle right-wing feelings all the time? Like, why are they such snowflakes all the fucking time? Like, you got caught drinking and driving. No, that makes you a horrendous parent. Horrendous fucking parent. Like, you're a bad parent. You put your kids' lives in danger. You put other people's kids' lives in danger, and you put your life in danger, which meant you would have robbed your children of a parent had you died. You're a
Yeah,
fucking
I killed the
idiot and a
kid.
dumbbag and a dumbass and a scumbag, like Murphy says in the chat. You're a scumbag. You shouldn't be a parent
Yeah.
if you're willing to go drink and drive like that and put your kids' lives at risk.
And what you said is it ties in. I was talking with Allison Wiltz the other day. I'm gonna have to introduce you to her. She's brilliant.
Oh, I'd
And
love to. Yeah.
she says that there's this long-standing trend where we infantilize like these white supremacists, and that happened with that text issue, where rather
Hmm.
than blame white supremacists, they're like, "Well, Gen Z." And it's like, first of all, they weren't Gen Z; they were older men. They're in their 40s, and they leaked their private chat filled with like rape culture and racism. And then they just try to like brush it off. And I think the vice president said, well, there's all this pearl clutching. But if you read those things, it's awful. And then they turn around and accuse the right accuses the left of hate speech. And we're just like, we just want health care, and we're saying all these. So they make us like adults. And this especially applies to the black community where they treat young kids as like these cruel, horrible people just by virtue of the fact that they're black. But then when white people do these things that are verifiably and just terrible, then they act like, oh, it's nothing, and they brush it off. And this is just this ongoing battle in the United States and our culture where, yeah, we never have accountability for the wrongdoers.
Yeah. And on top of that, we have the um, person who is supposed being brought up to be the head of the department that handles whistleblowers also has pro-Nazi and openly Nazi ideologies and was on a text chat about it. Um, and I put it in a note this morning. It's not my note for today, but it's calling out JD Vance basically. And it was, the gist of it is not all Republicans are not Nazis, but getting close. But all Nazis are Republicans. So yes, JD, the young Republican Nazi pro-rape hate text chat on Telegram is a big deal. Yes, JD Vance, the altered American flag with the swastika embedded into it found in Republican congressional members' offices and one on a video conference is a big fucking deal because you people are enabling Nazism. You people are fucking gross, disgusting, weak ass garbage men who have no other quality in life other than you're willing to oppress people. Like the only quality you have, and it's not even a good one, is you're just an asshole. Like that is your single quality in life, Republican men, white men specifically, is you're an asshole. It's not a personality trait to be an asshole, it's a flaw. Like, to
Yeah.
fuck off people. Like, I'm so tired of them. I'm tired of that shit. And it's orderly, and I'll kick off with my note and let you finish off. Um, Go next with your note on this one
Mhm.
too, is I'll drop this one in the chat. This one is actually from this morning. Um, Also in kind of similar veins. It's all about the disgust of what's
Got my
going
lightsaber.
on, and a lightsaber. Is yeah, I'm sick of this shit. So exactly. Um, is I put a poem out this morning about what is going on with the bulldozing of the East Wing of the White House and how it conveniently times right on top of the release of Virginia Giuffre's memoir. And it's meant to enrage us and distract us from the Epstein files on that piece of it.
Yeah.
And so I just want to put this, my note from this morning is really a reminder, and it drives into the first part of, or sorry, the second part of their protecting pedophiles, and they are stopping or trying to distract us or catch our attention and enrage us so that we focus only on one thing. We can focus on multiple things. Like we can hold multiple truths at once and we can do two things at once. Is be mad about what is happening at the West Wing, at the East Wing of the White House, and how it's being bulldozed for a ballroom. On the other side of that is the Epstein piece and is the pedophilia. And so my note was day 21 of the Republican government shutdown to protect pedophiles. Day 21 of the Republican government to protect men who broke girls. Day 21 of the Republican government shutdown to protect rapists and child sex traffickers. And that's it. That's the note. That's what they're doing. And they're protecting
Yeah.
pedophiles, men who broke girls, and rapists and child sex traffickers. And that's who these people are. That's who these people are. That's what they are promoting. Those are the values they promote. And I don't say that in isolation. They promote pro pedophilia and pro rape culture values. How do we know this? We've seen text chains of their leadership doing this. We have seen the vice president or vice POS of the United States who is doing this shit and normalizing it and saying it's no big deal. Well, it is a big fucking deal, dude, because I have a daughter. And even if I didn't have a daughter, that's a human being and a child that you are saying is okay to hurt and break and rape and abuse. And it's not. And if you're a father and a man and you want to be a father, if you're a young man or a boy growing up and want to be a dad one day, being a dad means to protect, to defend. You cannot protect and defend your children if you are pro pedophilia, if you are pro child sex trafficking, if you are pro rapists. You cannot protect and defend your daughters. You cannot protect and defend your sons If you are pro those things because you're a garbage human being and you are a
Mhm.
deplorable, if you are pro pedophilia, you are a deplorable if you think men should be able to break girls. You are a deplorable if you think
Mhm.
it's okay to be a rapist and child sex trafficker. You are deplorable. And too fucking bad if that hurts your feelings. Tired of coddling right-wing snowflake feelings. You guys have been gaslighting us forever. So fuck you. Stop
Yes.
protecting pedophiles. We're now on day 21 of a government shutdown to protect pedophilia. Mike Johnson is protecting pedophilia by not allowing representative-elect
Yeah.
and certified Adelita Grijalva. I want to make sure I think it's Grijalva, is how you say her name,
Mhm.
is she's duly elected and certified by the state of Arizona. And Mike Johnson is refusing and has abdicated his responsibility and role as Speaker of the House to swear in a new member of the House. He should be impeached and removed for it, and they're
Yeah.
protecting child sex traffickers and pedophiles to in as the reason. So that's my note.
Yeah.
That's my note of the day is these people fucking suck.
You know, and I'm this ongoing process of understanding what we're up against, really pulling back all the layers, forcing ourselves to see the ugly truths of our country. It's been an exhausting process, and that's why it's easy for me to self-reflect when I'm making a mistake because it's so much of my life these days is just finding these things. And we're all indoctrinated in this, and just it gets to that point. We have to pull those levels back. Yesterday, I was talking with Ben Ulansey and Brandon Elric, and we were talking about how the murder of Matthew Shepard, a young gay man who was just murdered, and it was and both Brandon and I, we grew up in these rural conservative communities where I spent a lot of my youth just being afraid, and Brandon certainly did too. And it wasn't, and it really doesn't even have come down to sexuality. It's just if you're a person who shows kindness,
Yeah.
if you're educated, if you show empathy, they will physically assault you then. And I'm sure too. And it's
if you're
just
not
it makes
if
me
you're not the view of
sad.
masculinity that they believe in,
Yes.
whatever that small view is, you get bullied for it.
Yeah, and it's came up in the talk I had with Will Fullwood too, where there's these rites of passages where it's like the scene from in a Christmas Story, where he finally has to beat the shit out of his bully, and then he just breaks down because that's not an act that was in alignment with his soul and the person he wanted to be.
Hmm.
And we even now we looked at that and are just like, well, this is just part of growing up. It's not. That's not part of. We shouldn't have to have this moment where you either have to learn to viciously beat somebody because I beat bullies too, and I don't like it either. It makes me almost want to cry. I don't feel like this is a great thing. I'm a large man. I can hurt people. I don't want to hurt people. That's not my calling on my soul. Is not to hurt people. And what I'm kind of coming to the conclusion of is just this mechanism in place because we were saying these white supremacists, they're these tiny, pitiful, sorry excuses for they're just creatures. They're not, they're just, and what they do is if one of these white supremacists goes and talks to a fully formed adult and tries to convey their ideology, we're like, get the hell out of here get the hell out of here with that shit. And they know that. So what they
Yeah.
do is they attack our children. They attack our children. They look for positions of minor authority. And I look back on my schooling days, and I'm in a conservative area. And I love teachers. My teachers were, and my wife is a teacher. I'm a teacher. But in those conservative areas, they hire a small number of them are these just awful people who take the
Hmm.
job just for that tiny little authority. And then they
Yeah.
indoctrinate. And it goes all the way up to this, well, you should be thankful, and it's always shame. And especially young kids, when they're not fully formed, they're in that developmental stage. That's when they're vulnerable to having the seed of white supremacy planted in their minds. And we
Hmm.
don't talk about this. We don't even mention it. The word white supremacy doesn't even come out. But that
Yeah.
is the fundamental culture of the United
Yeah.
States. That's our shame. It's what we have to fix. It's
Yeah.
going to take a long time because once they become adult, once it's planted, but if we can protect the kids, that's the answer.
Yeah. I think part of why I'm very anti pedophilia because it's just fucking gross and wrong. Um, but I'm pro like protecting and defending my family, because those are the values that were instilled in me, was to defend and protect, which sometimes means getting out of the way of those who are better suited to do it or in a position where they can do it. Like if your wife has a job or your spouse has a job and it's a
Yeah.
really good job, it's often better to get out of their way and allow them to have the space to do that job and to thrive. But it's also the job of a parent and an adult to protect kids who cannot protect themselves. Like that's literally your purpose number one as a parent is protect your children. Like if you're not willing to do that, you shouldn't be a parent. And these people are failing at that one thing and they consistently do it. They consistently fail to protect their kids because they think it's okay just to um yeah, we'll come back to that. But I agree with your comment on that, Walter, just for now. Two is um we're we're not talking about what's in the files right now. We're talking about the actual underlying behavior. Like I that's okay. We'll go back. I'm not calling you
Ah,
out.
okay.
I'm not
Yeah,
calling
he
anybody out.
made
I'm
I
just
see
saying
what he said.
it may not have been the
I
right
did miss
place
that.
for whatever was going on in
No, I
that
missed it. He
conversation.
mentioned that he thought the files would be altered to corrupt them to only look at Democrats. So my mistake. I did only see the second comment and I misunderstood, but yeah, Howard's on our side.
Yeah, yeah. Howard is definitely on our side.
Yes.
They are altering. They probably are altering them in some way. Well, I mean, we know that they're hiding and manipulating what comes out. That is altering. Like selectively choosing what to black out. That is not about protecting survivors or victims is altering. That's like we should call it what it is. That's altering. That is manipulating the facts so that it makes it less um less visible that the crime happened. It's altering it to make it less than. It's catch and kill.
Yeah.
It's all of these things that we keep seeing. I saw a post this morning about from Zev Shalev talking about how um, he writes the greatest heist series that he's been doing. It's all about the sex trafficking, the pedophilia, and the money laundering scheme, the international like crimes syndicate stuff. Like the root causes behind the blackmail that is the pedophilia part. Like the pedophilia part is a blackmail tool. They use a power control thing so that they can blackmail and get what they want. And Zev was talking about how he put it out for like CNN or somebody bought it up to silence it, catch and kill. Well, it's not catch and kill, it's catch and protect the predator or catch and protect the pedophile. Like that's what they're doing. So yes, altering does happen. It does lead, it does fit in with what we're talking about overall is the Republicans have shut down the government for 21 days so far to protect pedophiles, to protect men who broke girls, to protect rapists and child sex traffickers, and to get away with the most heinous crimes possible. Like that's it. That's what they're trying to do. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah.
I just want to I want to say because Kat mentioned before, and she says it's like they're narcissistic predators who seek out people they can dominate and manipulate. It's disgusting, and I think we all have to be aware in the United States that's exactly what's happening. We've got the white supremacists. Their ideology is broken. They are weak people. They're predators.
Hmm.
And they're trying to infantilize all of us. They do this by depriving us of access to education and just like this authoritarian control. You see that in this trad wife movement. You've
Hmm.
got these brilliant women and they want to deprive them of a right to education so they become beholden to these men. They want to roll back all those things because it was only 50 years ago that women couldn't get their own line of credit, and what are the statistics on that too? When they finally got rid of no fault divorce, suicide rates for women just plummeted because now you can get out of these just horribly abusive relationship by these controlling, just weak men that are, that and the word Allison Wilkes used the other day too, the mediocrity is kind of the essence of this movement. They're so
Hmm.
mediocre that the only way, they can allow themselves to compete is by preventing all the better people from doing any work. And we're seeing that in the government where they keep firing all the good people. But we all have to recognize though that it's coming for all of us. It's coming for our kids, it's coming for us. We're going to be struggling this year because they are destroying the economy on purpose. And I think
Hmm.
it's because we're going to get to that point where we're going to need the government to hand out food. I'm fearful of that. And then it'll be just the obedience, is what they're gonna demand for us to be fed and to survive. We're seeing hospitals shut down. So we can't
Yeah.
really understate. And like the sexual aspect of this is a major part of this. They break us, through sexual misconduct and sexual abuse. That's a essential part of their ideology as it is of all these weak and mediocre men.
Yeah.
And now we understand it, and now we know what we're
Yeah.
up against.
Yeah. And it's okay to call it out. And it's, in fact, it's our duty to call it out. It's not enough to just be anti pedophilia. You have to be actively anti-pedophile.
Yeah.
Laws don't uphold themselves, morality doesn't uphold itself, ethics don't uphold themselves. We have to actively practice those things. Like empathy is something you actively practice. You are actively empathetic towards other people. It's something you have the control to do or not do. Like I can choose to be unempathetic towards somebody's situation. I do it all the time. I'm unempathetic towards any Republican who is protecting pedophiles because they are gross, despicable, deplorable human beings. I am empathetic
Yeah.
to the survivors of that pedophilia and that sex trafficking, the girls who are now women, the boys who are now men, that we don't hear anything about. We don't hear anything about the boys. We do about the women, the girls, but we don't about the boys. And that says a lot. That it says a lot in the silence because we know that they were trafficked too. And we have to be willing to confront that part of it also. But we have to be willing to do it in a way that is not anti gay or anti LGBTQ, because that's not what it's about, because that's what people are going to turn it into. Because when the boy part starts coming out, it's going, and when, say, Mike Johnson's Grinder files eventually come out, it's going to be the headline is, oh, they did it because they had the sin of gayness and it
Yeah.
drove them to do this. We know that's coming, and I'm going to get ahead of it by saying that's what they're going to do. They're going to blame it on the sin of gayness as to why they did it, why they committed these pedophilia acts, why they committed child rape. It's not because they're gay. It is not because they're LGBTQ in any way. It's not because they're straight either. It is because they need control and power, and they're narcissistic, egotistical, abusive pieces
Yeah.
of shit who take advantage of people. And they're hiding that and they're protecting them. Our government is actively protecting them. That type of ability to do things. And they raped girls and boys. We know they raped girls. We have a very, very high likelihood of them also raping boys. And it has been seen, and I think in some of the files, they have named one or two, but not very many. But like
Mhm.
this, that we have to be unafraid to say these words, and we have to be unafraid to consistently just keep calling it what it is. It's protecting pedophilia, it's protecting child sex traffickers, and it's protecting rapists.
Yeah.
And I'm tired
This
of
rape
protecting them.
culture, yeah, and the rape culture, the culture of dominance, it goes all the way back. White
It's
supremacy
all white
in
supremacy.
the slave era, in the slave era, the white men used to rape their male slaves then. That was a common thing that happened. And that's another thing that's it's just this and again, yes, you're saying because they misrepresent their behaviors, these hateful people. But they do like the shame culture where they shame our children for how they dress and they shame children for forming empathetic bonds. All of that ties into that because the only kind of relationship this hate philosophy accepts is one, a transactional one, a dominant one where you dominate another person. And they try to project and act as if those of us who want empathetic, caring relationships are somehow perverse or sinful. I
Hmm.
mean, they use all those words of shame for us for being compassionate, or they call us weak, or all these things. When all the truth is, everything they accuse us of is what they themselves are guilty of. But it does become uncomfortable as you start going through this and you start really seeing the network that they're using. Because all of our children are under attack from this constantly. You get subjected to it daily in a lot of different ways. Because again, they don't come out in the open and say it. They hide their indoctrination through tradition, and things like that. They specifically focus on kids, taking books out of libraries, prohibiting certain things from being taught. I mean, as a compassionate adult, your kids have to it's the developmental period where you're confronted with your developing sexuality is a confusing time, and you're very
Hmm.
vulnerable then. And so then if an adult figure comes and starts telling you you're shameful and you're awful, for having natural feelings, especially when you're very young. I mean, when I was 20, when you're 20, you're just up to your nose in hormones and you can't
Yeah.
think straight, really. And then to have somebody like things that are natural behaviors, people tell you you feel shit, like somehow that makes your character evil. That's how they control you. Because once you start backing up, like, oh, I think I'm wrong, then they know that they have you. And that's that dominance culture again. But it's in a lot of things. And it's a lot of things that we don't even think about, we've normalized to a large extent. So extracting that cancer of hate that's in everything is our
Yeah.
task.
Yeah. Getting rid of the dominance culture. I like how you put that is it's a dominance culture. Um, it is a hate culture. It's a victim culture to and a bully culture. That's all it really is. They're bullies who have never had somebody stick up to them in a way that they truly understood was sticking up to them because no other pretty much powerful white male has ever said, no, you can't do that. Um, and so it goes back to that. You have to be actively for something. It's not enough to just be anti-racist or anti-bigoted or anti-Nazi or anti-pedophilia or anti-bully culture or anti-patriarchy. You have to be for something too. Like that's what separates us from the fascist side of the world is I'm one is I'm not a giant asshole all the time. Like I don't live as an asshole in perpetuity. Like that's not my day-to-day persona isn't me just being a shithead to everybody I meet and fucking feeling miserable about myself and telling myself that everybody else is the problem and not me and I can never take any responsibility because it's a very childish mentality and if you live like that you're a child who is stunted because you didn't have adults who showed you how to do things in life because the one thing I almost wrote it as a note this morning is we need to start teaching, we need to stop just teaching children to respect adults and their elders. We need to teach elders to respect children because children are people too
Yeah.
and are very, very, very easily impressionable because their brains aren't fully developed. And when we only teach
Yes.
them that you have to respect one direction, there's a reason they don't get any respect back is because those adults have never
Yeah.
been taught to respect them, which leads to rape culture, which leads to pro-pedophilia culture and abuse and all of these patriarchal systems because it gives
Yeah.
children this idea that there is no accountability once you become an adult.
Yeah. That's such an important point, and I ran into that a lot as a teacher because I got so much pressure for other teachers. They're like, "You're too soft on the kids," and I said, if I don't model respectful behavior, the kids will never learn it. That's how you
Hmm.
teach. You teach things by modeling them. If I
Yep.
model accountability, and yeah, to such a great extent, we have this attitude in the United States that once people are in positions of authority, we just have to, cover up when they make mistakes, and we don't have to have hold them accountable. That's the whole patriarchal model. I wrote a story a while ago about how we were driving somewhere when I was a kid, and my dad, he went the complete wrong way. And we couldn't tell him. We couldn't say, "You're going the wrong way." We had to
Hmm.
just sit there quietly, the time's going away because it's doubling every minute until finally he figured it out on his own. Who the hell does that model serve? Why can't we just politely say, Dad, you took a left, you should have taken a right?
Hmm.
But we didn't because we knew that would bring about this rage. And that even though we were right, we were going to be punished for this imagined affront of, confronting an authority figure. But what you're saying is so good, Nick, that yeah,
Well,
just we
hold
just
on.
have to
Before we go any further,
just treat our kids with respect.
yeah, like before we go any further, I want to comment on Walter what you just said, or sorry, Howard, what you just said is they're too soft, like letting them live at home till 35 playing video games. That is a right wing talking point and stereotype. That is not actually a true statement. Yes, there may be a few of them who do that. Those are called groypers and incels, and they tend to be very, very violent, right wing
Uh,
leaning, fucking narcissistic pieces of shit who wouldn't have left their homes anyways. I tell my kids they never have to leave, never have to move out, never have to move out of my home. You know why? Because they're always welcome. They're always welcome to live in my house because only in America have we been convinced that family units have to separate. And when you're 18, you have to leave the house and go be an adult. No, if my kids want to live in my home until they're 35 or older, let
100.
them. As long as they're willing to participate in society and actually go forward and use the teachings that I taught them and the skills and lessons that my parents are giving them, or my wife and I are giving them, and my parents and my wife's parents are giving them to help teach them that it's okay to live at home. Like it's okay to live near and with your family just as long as you are trying to be productive in some way. I'm not saying productive as in you have to
Yeah,
work a full-time job. Let's not qualify like being at home and not working either as non-productivity. Like I'm a disabled human being who finds himself unproductive 80% of the day. Like it's contributing to society that people are staying at home to be like unproductive and wastes of space. And yes, there is an increasing trend of some people doing that, but it's not us. We are not the ones teaching that. Good parents are not teaching their children that you can stay at home and be lazy. I'm teaching my children, you can come stay live at the house because one, why put that burden on yourself until you're ready and have a good job? Two, I fucking love you and I want you in my life until the longest amount of time possible. I had you like I have kids for a reason because I want them in my life. I have a
yeah,
really good relationship with my parents. Why wouldn't I want my kids to have a really good relationship with me where they want to be home and want to stay there and want to be a part of my life? And that's productive enough because value isn't based on how much you add to the capitalistic system. The value it is inherent in you being a person. And so some of those 35-year-old kids who are at home playing, which they're not kids, adults playing video games at
yeah.
home, that is like a 0.01000001 percentage of the population that does that. And you don't know why they're doing it. So let's not assume that they're being lazy. Maybe their parents fucking failed them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I want to just mention how these authoritarian households make it very hard to succeed in life. I get this a lot in life. I saw Shane was in there. Hi, Shane. But I get this too, where I get constant criticism because the way I raise my kids, the things
Mhm.
I do, where I empower them and I have them in programs and things. And then at the same time, people are like, well, why is it that your kids are so polite? And why is it that they are so hardworking and and it's because I don't follow any of these dumb patriarchal rules that everybody else is insisting on. And yeah, and I think, because you'll find that in these authoritarian households where they insist on those rules, like we said before, like there can never be accountability, and that leads to having kids that are very stunted, and they do end up stuck in those households then, and they can't escape, and they get more and more frustrated. I just want to add too. I mean, these comments are so I mean, the things we're talking about are so hard, and there's always those 2 sides to things, and I have to be mindful of it too, because 'cause I'll read a comment in passing as I'm trying to pay attention, and I'll misinterpret it, and I think everybody is trying to get along, but it's like, just be careful and write your whole thought in the comment. Like, Howard broke a thought up in 2 parts, and I only saw the second part, so I'm like, "What the heck is that
Yeah,
supposed to mean?" We do have to
and
be a little bit careful, that's what and so, yeah, I think everybody here is on the right track, so
yeah,
thanks for
and
your
as long
wonderful
as
and
and I
words in the
appreciate.
chat.
Sorry for walking over you on that, Walter. Is I also the last part is as long as you're willing to listen and learn and ask if you're asking questions in good faith, that's the important thing. So continue to ask. I mean, I'm glad you're engaged. That shows you're engaged and you're willing to hear. And the fact that you're staying and communicating is good. Like glad you're still here. That's the whole point. So Walter, we haven't gotten your note yet. And I'm hoping it
I
kind of
well,
fits in with this discussion.
it does, and I think it's good because it'll help us lead on a positive note here. But yeah, I mean, it is fascinating. There's always that other side to things, and yeah, as we're talking, and I always want to be mindful to people when you're leaving notes, also on Substack, whether it's in the comments. Sometimes the way the tool shows what people wrote, there's oftentimes when people they write something kind of hostile, and then I check it, and it's like, oh, they were denouncing this thing that came before. So it's like, be careful. You might get blocked, because I get so many comments, and I'm just like, this seems hostile. If I don't go and check, so, and if you get me on a day when I've got like 30 things attacking me, so it's just be
Hmm.
careful to be very careful in your comments and in your notes too. But I just want to say, and we also have to be mindful not to just block everybody, although sometimes
Hmm.
there are some really hostile stuff out there. But my note today or this week was, and I wrote it into a fuller article where it says, no kings, no swastikas, no Confederate flags, no violence. And I said this a couple different ways because I wanted to emphasize what we had in our No Kings rally was inflatable unicorns and laughter and dancing, and everybody stuck around afterwards to clean up, right? And it's
Hmm.
just and I think it's just I want this community and like everybody to know because I mean we're talking all these hard things, but at the same time, if you had the opportunity to go out and do a No Kings rally or a peaceful patriotism demonstration, as I like to call it, or a celebration of freedom, and you get to meet and see people face to face. And I wore my Elect Women shirt, and that made a lot of
Hmm.
women just me wearing that shirt made them emotional. One woman wanted to come and give me a hug just for wearing that. She said, "Thank you for being an enlightened man just for that." And I think that's that transition. And the media, of course, has buried this. As you look at what the No Kings peaceful peace demonstration was, 8 million people, and, zero left wing arrests. They did arrest a bunch of people on the right, and that
Hmm.
compare that to January 6th, where they attacked police officers and they desecrated our Capitol, and several people died because of that day. And that's a much, much smaller sample size of what the Republican Party is, and just like that should be an overwhelming proof, that the
Hmm.
left is not violent. And then also, though, there was this one story that was deeply concerning. There was that woman who, with her, MAGA shirt, and she was waving a gun at the crowd, and she got arrested. And I'm very confident that she thinks now going to be hero of the right, and that the president will probably pardon her for her behavior, which he probably will do. But we
Hmm.
can't get lost in all that. That our side did come out and show their peace and love, and those inflatables are just hilarious. And it was a love parade that we had, and we just that community that we have in moments like this when we're talking to each other, it just helps us know that our side is based on love, and we're the right side. We're going to win.
Yeah. And I think leaning into that too is not only like were there no arrests, but it was fun. And I think I want to I know No Kings is a brand at this point for what like the rallies are and how we're mobilizing around them. But I want to take what they said and turn it into what it actually is. It was a Love America rallies. Like these aren't
Yeah,
Hate America rallies in any way. These were Love America rallies. You went out there and you saw what America stands for and what Americans really, really want to believe in, what the vast majority of Americans care about, which is freedom, liberty, justice for all, holding people accountable, and yeah, it's a love rally. It wasn't, all of the pictures that I've received are people having fun, people laughing, people singing. Nobody's smearing shit on the walls of the White House. Nobody's tearing down American flags to replace them with Confederate flags or Trump flags or neo-Nazi flags. Nobody is breaking through windows and shouting, "Hang Mike Pence." Nobody is carrying around a gallows
yeah,
um, or a noose and stand to hang somebody. Um, that's the difference.
yeah,
We're not, it's domestic unity, not even tranquility. There was nothing tranquil about that.
yeah,
People were rowdy, people were fun, people were having a great time. It's domestic
yeah,
unity, it's domestic joy rather than domestic hate and terrorism. Um,
yeah.
and I think we can just keep doing that.
Tranquility of the soul. I do like the word tranquility, but I think yeah, but you're right. People were exuberant, and it's the other thing too. We're ready to we're ready to have a country that works for us. And I think more and more people are waking up to it. And it's just unfortunate that it had to get so ugly. And then they have the president posting a AI video of himself shitting all over the country. It's
Hmm.
just sort of like, well, buddy, it's like, well, at least you're coming out and saying it right now. It's like that one backfired pretty spectacularly. And I think,
Yeah.
we're just seeing that mounting growth and it continues to work. So everybody watching here, just stay strong and keep resisting and hold the faith 'cause
Hmm.
we're seeing it. It's slow and it's like erosion, but we're getting there.
Yeah. And like to Shane commented asking, can he get thoughts on the firing over of the rounds over
Oh,
I-5 and the
man.
shell going off
Yeah.
after the Marine Corps said there was no threat? I mean, that fits into their idea, the right-wing idea of they are trying to instigate a um hate. Like that is
Cool.
what they are. That's all they believe in. They believe in violence and hate. And I think one, the fact that the Marines were smart enough not to shoot real like missiles, and very possibly damaging one. That would have been a huge fucking waste of money, because those missiles are not fucking cheap in any way. And two, had it exploded, it would have actually caused real damage to things. I think it was irresponsible that they fired them. It was meant to intimidate. It was meant to be what would be considered a show of force. It is meant to get people to not come out to say, hey, we have these rounds, we're going to use them. It's the same reason, in my opinion, why we're seeing the reports that ICE purchased guided missile systems and things like that. They don't need those. There's no point for an internal police force to have missile systems. Um, and the fact that they're buying these types of weaponry, they're using them internally as shows of force. The fact that they were going to leave the interstate open, but Newsom made the smart call to close it because he
Yeah.
knew there was the possibility of something going wrong. Because the military is good at some things, and coordinated, simple, like acts that are not meant to promote terrorism, or I mean, sorry, the military is good at one thing: chaos, organized chaos, and destroying things. They destroy things. That's what the military is for, is to destroy. It's meant to. This is a show of force meant to destroy the confidence in American people and destroy your will to want to go out and peacefully use your First Amendment right. It's going to escalate. And They're going to escalate these tactics because they want to cow people into submission to obey in advance because they're
Yeah.
they're being reckless, and it is disgusting. I think what they did was,
Yeah.
to be the short answer of it, Shane, is what happened over I-5 with the artillery rounds that um, were fought over or fired over the interstate into Camp Pendleton for a training or exercise or to highlight the 250th anniversary of the Marines was a poor man's attempt at intimidating the American people. And the American people responded by coming out and putting on the most peaceful, patriotic protests, largest in our generation, at least at this point, and growing. And they're afraid. What it means is they're
Yeah.
afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid of us. They're afraid of our
It
unity.
Yes, and it's gonna get worse too before it gets better. That's another thing just to warn people and be ready, but there is no protection in compliance with this. Somebody wrote a nice comment up here just asking about, spreading the word. Yeah, don't buy anything on Black Friday, don't buy anything on Cyber Monday. Our economic power, what little we have right now, is the most important thing probably we have. That's probably the most effective tool we have. And all of you watching and all those watching the replay, you have to be really discerning about where you spend money. And these days, it is very difficult to
Hmm.
not spend money in a way that helps oligarchs. And I've been telling the congressional candidates I've been interviewing, it's like, come to my platform, freely come to my platform. But then they send out their donations and then they spend it on ads on social media platforms owned by the worst people. And it's like the worst people in the world. Like, you aren't doing us any good, Democratic candidates, if you take our hard earned money and then you turn around and give it to our enemies like that, you
Hmm.
know? And so, those of you too, it's like, please, please, and this is a good place. I just always have to add this. Substack shouldn't be a kingmaker platform, is what I say. And those of us, we have, if you're subscribed to one of those guys with the purple check mark, get off that and give it to a white checkmark person. We need to spread around the economic. We need as many voices as possible speaking. So please just kind of look through who you're sponsoring now. If you're sponsoring the really big ones, if they've got the purple check mark, they're making $1 million a year probably. So they don't need you, but I really do. I know Nick really does. And we just need that help. We need that support. But in saying that too, I know that we're about to hit really hard economic times, probably for the next year. Everybody's struggling. So just bringing more people onto the platform, bringing more people into this audience, and word of mouth sharing the message is super important. But just take a moment and think about that. And if you can cancel the
Hmm.
subscriptions to, all those various streaming platforms, they feel that. The oligarchs feel that. And sooner or later, we are going to run out of money where we're not going to be able to make the choice. The
Yeah.
purple check mark, you'll see it on the name. There's a solid orange one. Those people are making, it could be anywhere
So it,
from 50 to, then 100,000 or so, but the purple ones are big money.
yeah. So there's what you see for Walter and I. We have the hollow check mark. Um, that one means we have anywhere over 100 paid subscribers. So it means hundreds of paid subscribers. So 100 plus. The full orange circle with a check mark in it is means you have thousands of paid subscribers. So you've hit 1,000 plus, which I'm hoping I'm trying to get there. Like that's my goal is to get there. I'd love to get into that that piece because then I can give
Good.
back to other creators. Like I don't have the money
Yes.
to give back to other creators yet. Like but we can.
Yeah.
And then purple is hundreds of thousands of paid subscribers, which means just like Walter said, they make a lot of money they make enough money from this that they can manage to not have us, a couple of us here and there, drop off. So be conscious with how you help support your creators. And on that note, to help support your creators is Walter, how can people help support you? Like, what can people do to help support your work? Are you running any good specials? Are you doing anything like that? And it sucks
Oh,
that we
yeah.
have to run specials to do it. But I understand too. We're growing, we're new, we're smaller. People don't trust us yet, but we'll get there. I know you, there's 180 of us here, right? 179 folks in our live right now. Like, you all trust us, or a lot of you do. You keep coming back over
Yes.
and over again. Um, and I cannot thank you all enough. Like, I appreciate every single one of you for coming here. And the fact is, you keep coming back and it keeps growing every single time, too. Like, this audience gets bigger every week. So, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Walter, with that,
Yeah.
how can people support you? Like, what can folks do to help you?
Yes, people have been saying wonderful things in the comments. It's exactly right. Like Jim Acosta and all the I mean, the people that you already know are millionaires and who have already been able they've already had the privilege of being established by mainstream media. And to be absolutely honest, mainstream media has deliberately frozen me out for my whole life. I've had a couple articles go viral, and even after they go viral, they're like, "We don't want any more from you." Because they don't like my message of humanity. I mean, there's a reason Yoda was living out in the swamp, right? Because
Hmm.
like the good people, the good people don't get to, to be supported. They're not the ones that get these millions and millions of dollars. And so, yeah, just if you can, and I think the ones with the solid orange check marks, that's a pretty reasonable thing. And I've already, if I get to the point where I'm there, there's a lot of people I will turn around and then support. And I think
Hmm.
we have that responsibility. I've always done that in my career writing, and it's what has helped me build up. Where I review independently published books, I started with that. I always try to bring other creators on and talk to them, people with smaller followings, just so people get to know them. But yeah, just please just take the time to be discriminating and discerning about where you put your money because it means so much more to me. And then on my page, I always offer just a whole bunch of discounts. So pay
Yeah.
whatever you can offer is just really welcome. I have it one that's as low as $2 a month. I have discount one that's $20 a year. You can look through it all, and it's just like here's amount that's a reasonable amount for me to contribute. Just consider it. Think about it like giving a tip to your server
Hmm.
for a good meal. And again, I don't ever expect anybody to read or engage with all my content. Sometimes there's an expectation because I'm going to flood your inboxes with content just because I'm trying to answer all the lies. And every
Hmm.
day you turn on the news and there's 50 more lies, and it's really important for somebody to just say no, this isn't true. And so if you are able to sponsor me in any way, and even
Hmm.
sharing and commenting, all that is super important. But any kind of paid sponsorship is really appreciated. Any level, any amount of money is a big help. And I'm sure the
Yeah.
same is true for Nick.
Yeah. Yeah. Same true on my side. And I second the message. And I've been seeing people come in with chat with messages saying like who they support and who, like giving ideas. And I think folks like Wajahat Ali and Zev Shalev and Lev Parnas and folks that I work with, they do deserve your support too, because they're putting truth out. Like they're fighting to put truth out. Zev Shalev, especially he and Ellie Leonard do some amazing work on the investigations into Epstein. And he was froze out of the media because of that in a lot of ways. He was froze out of CBS and some of the work that he's done
Mm,
because of the investigative work that he did into the greatest heist. That is what froze him out of the media because he is helping bring down the perpetrators and hold these powerfully corrupt men accountable. And so Um, I think it's amazing that you guys in our chat and you folks, you women, men, others, anywhere in between. Like you all support us and care, and you show who you actually support and understand, and you ask questions about the good creators, and we're building a big, good community. Um, and I love it. I love what we're doing as a group here. So thank you, everyone. Like Walter said, go support Walter. Go help. If you can, become a paid subscriber for him. If you can, become a paid subscriber for me. I just hit 150, so I'm on my way towards the 1,000 mark. And that also, just so everybody knows, because I'm big on transparency too, that means if you're part of other publications such as Banner and Backbone, those help count or can help count towards your creator totals, depending on like what level of account you have, like permissions you have within the publication. But they do help. So when you see folks with multiple creator platforms that you really enjoy and you really want to see get larger, like say mine or Walter's and Banner and Backbone, come support us there. Free subscribes really help. Free subscribes get the word out. Follows are okay and nice, but they don't really mean anything anymore. Um, but like the actual subscription really helps because then also we have your email that we can forward if they ever shut Substack down, we can keep your email and bring you to another platform with us,
Yeah.
and you don't lose us. You don't lose the ones you trust. So, like Walter said, maybe you don't need to support those purple check marks. Maybe those of us who are a little bit smaller and you um, really enjoy the work of, come help us out. Come help build us stronger.
Well,
I know I'm doing a 50% off sale right now too, for the month of October, um, and hoping to get to 200 if I can. If 50 of you want to join me today, that'd be fucking amazing. You'd probably skyrocket me to number one on like US politics which would be fucking on point. So if 50 of you want to come and be paid subs today, I will not say no. Um, but anyway, for those of you who can, please subscribe, share, like what you can do, like what you can like. You don't have to go through and like everything on all of our stuff. We put out stuff a lot. You would not have the time in the day to actually live a life and like everything we do. We don't ever want you to do that. But like what you like and share it with your friends and family. Share Walter, share myself, share our friends, and get the word out. Um, and Walter, it's been so fun to get to talk to you again this morning. I love that we do these every Tuesday. You will, everyone in the crowd, we will see Walter again next week, unless something comes up or he has an appointment. And if something does happen, we'll let you know. Um, and you'll still see me because Notes of the Week is so much fun. It gives us a chance to relax a little bit, but also hear y'all's thoughts. So thank you, everyone. Walter, any last closing thoughts before I let the people go?
Oh, it's been a blast. Again, thank all you wonderful people. And yes, it's just all the support means everything. These last months would not have been possible for me to survive without all you wonderful people. I just really appreciate all of you and everything you can do. Your comments, keep the comments coming. It just makes me feel the community's there. We're doing something. We're doing good. And the more we keep at it, the more we keep sharing the good word. I mean, we can have a better world. We can have a
Hmm.
prosperous society. It's within our power. We still have that power. So thank all of you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for all the great questions and engagement. And as always, everybody, let's stop being sick of this shit and let's start doing this shit. I'll see y'all again. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Walter.
Yep. Thank you. Bye bye.